Hello guys, welcome to Redditor's Revenge. Here we post amazing revenge stories daily, and if you want more content like this, please do subscribe to the channel and stay tuned with us. Moving on to our today's story. Fair warning, you need to brace yourself because it is a lot to wrap your head around. Even I am still in shock when I F22 look at my mom and remember what happened just a few weeks ago. She looks like she cannot even hurt a fly and is the kindest person you will ever meet, but what she failed to mention to us is that she is some sort of superhero. All this happened because of my sister, Penelope's choice of a husband from a wealthy but feared family in town. When I found out she was dating Philip M27, I told her to be very careful associating herself with that family. Philip, like his older brothers, was a player. Everyone knew he would never settle down. My mom, a devout Christian woman akin to an angel, sat her down and warned her not to get involved with that family. There was no concrete evidence, but enough rumors circulated in town about how dangerous they were. Anyone who disagreed with them was dealt with in a way that would teach everyone else a lesson. There was once a situation where a girl I went to school with teased one of the daughters. The very next day, her hair was cut, but she would not reveal who had done it. No one knew much about them, just that they came from old money and demanded respect. We all hated them, but fear kept us in line. They were known to involve their lawyers if someone did not want to comply with their terms during a business arrangement, or to organize beatings if someone who owed them did not pay back. Well, at least that was what we believed. I knew better than to believe everything I heard, but gossip has to come from something true, right? Back, my mom warned Penelope not to get involved with such a man. They lacked integrity and had questionable morals, which were enough to make my mom dislike someone. But she did not listen. Instead, she denied dating him while secretly going out with him. The problem that came with that was that she had to pretend not to be associated with him in public while he kept up his facade of being a Casanova. As a sister, I tried to support her, but she was always crying, stalking these girls on social media, and fighting with him. I convinced her to break up with him, after he had shouted at her just for answering a phone call on his phone. But the problem is that a victim will always go back to their narcissists, which was what happened when she found out that she was pregnant. My parents and I accompanied her to his house, where his family was very disrespectful towards us, denying the child. But for the first time, he was not a spineless fool like I knew him to be. He proposed marriage to Penelope, leading to him becoming estranged from his family. They hated my sister because she did not have a fancy degree or come from a rich family that would benefit them. My family, even though they would have rather she married someone else, decided to support both of them. His family did not attend the wedding or even acknowledge the birth of the child. My family was the one who did. 2 years passed, and they began to experience problems, which Penelope confided in me, but convinced me not to tell our mom because she would just stress about it. She told me that he was keeping in contact with his family once again and they were telling him lies about her. Not only that, but his sister would not leave the house, claiming to visit the house but bringing barely clothed girls. My sister would come home from work to a house filled with strangers, to which he would force her to cook for him and let her child play with them. She was the only one working in the house while he was using money from his savings, or so he said in the beginning, because, in reality, he was borrowing money from his family, which was why they were so comfortable coming to his house and making themselves at home. My response was to tell her to consider taking a break. She was not happy because there were always cheating suspicions, and he refused to get a job or take care of their child when he was home. It was draining her. She told me that she was considering leaving, but soon it was too late. I was woken up by a call from my mother at about 2 a.m. a few days later. She was hysterical, telling me that Penelope was in the hospital. My first reaction was shocking, for I had just seen her several hours before. Then it was fear as she explained to me that her husband had beaten her up badly, injuring her head, and she was now unconscious in the hospital. When I saw her in her hospital bed, when they had covered her up in bandages, was how is she going to survive? Frankie is too young to lose a mom. She was covered in so many bruises as if she had been dragged across a train track, her eyes shut. And then came the anger, which I cannot control to this day. She had given her all, to fight her family, for that fool. A man who did not appreciate her and constantly made her cry. He had proven to us all that he was just an animal like the rest of his family members, who believed that there were no consequences for their actions. I became further aggravated when I found out that his cousin and sister had been present when all of this was happening, and they did nothing to stop it. We could not get hold of any of them at the time. Their phones were off, and no one knew where Frankie was. So much was happening at the same time, I was barely able to catch my breath. My mom was scarily calm, as she told us to focus on Penelope's health, pray and take it a day at a time. Little did I know that she was boiling on the inside and shit was about to hit the fan. I fell asleep in the waiting room with my parents, impatiently awaiting the scan results. My mom awakened me, telling me to be quiet so we would not wake my father up. She later explained to me that she did not want my father to come with us to Penelope's house, where we were going to fetch her clothes and find out what happened to Philip. She was oddly calm, which helped me with my anger as well. The reason she did not want Dad to come was that he would lose control of his emotions, which would not be good for his blood pressure. When we got there, we knocked on the door for ages, but no one came to open it. Through the window, I saw someone who looked like Philip's cousin wake up, go to the kitchen and go back while ignoring us. My mom told me to wait outside the door, she would be back soon. Their house was a single story with no stairs but many windows. 2 seconds later, I heard the sound of breaking glass and screams from inside. When I ran to the back, I saw my mom making her way through the windows and throwing bricks while cursing like a sailor. I was so shocked that I did not even try to stop her. Then, their startled people ran out of the building, one of them a woman I vaguely recognized. My mom started calling the 3 of them heartless bastards and she would deal with them properly. My brother-in-law did not seem fazed though and instead asked her to come into the house and talk calmly with her. Big mistake, because as soon as the door closed, my mom gave him a fat slap. It was so loud that I am sure even the neighbors heard it. Then she proceeded to round him and his cousin up by pulling them by their ears and throwing them onto the couch. The girl who was there started calling my mom a crazy witch and threatened to call the police. My mom told her to shut her mouth and stay the hell away from people's husbands, pulled her by her ears, and shook her a little bit but did not beat her up. She started shaking and crying, then attempted to escape but I stood at the door blocking the entrance. I told her to get back into the room before I beat her. My anger over the whole situation had come flooding back tenfold and I was desperately craving something to help release it. My mom on the other hand was making mincemeat out of the 2 men back there. I could not believe my eyes, she was like lightning, dodging them and landing serious blows. The cousin ended up running away, locking himself in the bathroom. My brother-in-law on the other hand was shaking like a leaf and looking at my mom like she was the Grim Reaper. Now when I think of it, it is pretty comical. You might be wondering where her newfound strength came from. Well, later on, she revealed to us that before she converted, she practiced mixed martial arts, and she had grown up with brothers which made her learn self-defense at a young age. And it seemed like she still had it because when she left him, he was motionless on the floor. I believe the fact that he had been drinking also helped to slow him down. Then, my mom and I packed Penelope's stuff and forced him to tell us where the child was. He was with Philip's sister, Samantha, and we were on our way. Mom made me wait in the car, then 10 minutes later, she was coming back with Frankie. When I asked her what happened, she told me that the less I knew the better. And who was I to question it? I had seen how crazy she went on my brother-in-law. It was when we were back home that she got a call from Philip's mom who was asking about Penelope's health and saying the situation was terrible and we had to solve it together as a family. No one in our family was ready to talk to them. We were experiencing shock, fear, and anger. My dad's BP was through the roof and the doctors feared that he would need to be hospitalized. Not only that, but they were starting to threaten us with legal action over the state my mom and left Philip in. I might exaggerate about how my mom dealt with him, but he honestly did not look that bad. He was just a big baby who wanted to hit women, but when he met someone who fought back, he wanted to be a victim. My sister, on the other hand, came out of the induced coma. The doctors confirmed that she was okay. She had just suffered a minor concussion. With her waking up, we were now able to find out what happened on that day since we could not ask Philip. She said that she had come home from work and fetching her kid. There had been a full-blown party, to which she had asked him to take it elsewhere because she was tired from work. She then kicked the guests out, leading to an argument with him. The only people who remained had been her, his sister, and his cousin. He started to throw things around, accusing her of cheating and calling her useless. Then the other girls started attacking her, to which he let her. My sister then noticed that he did not have his ring on, and she was acting clingy toward him, so she asked if she was his girlfriend. He told her he did not love her anymore, and so what if it was his girlfriend? She was done with him after that, so she decided to leave. But when she tried to leave, he made his sister take her child from her and told her to leave. There was no way she was going to leave her son with some drunks, so she tried to fight for her child, which was when things got violent, and he started to hit her. He pushed her to the floor and started bashing her head while the ones watching did nothing but watch. Then they left her in a room when they thought she passed out. She managed to make her way to the next-door neighbor, collapsing as soon as he opened the door. When she was admitted to the hospital, they managed to ID her and call my parents. Hearing what truly happened brought a surge of guilt in me because I had not done enough to stop her from marrying Philip. I was so scared at how close we had come to losing her. My heart ached to imagine all she had gone through because of him. Even now, she has nightmares about the night when she nearly lost her life. She screams for her son every time she wakes up, afraid that he has been taken away once again. It is no way to live, but she is just taking each day at a time. As for Philip and his family, they came to our house with several lawyers, explaining legal things to us, and acting confident that they would intimidate us because we are not as rich as them. I called them out, from the shameless secrets they try to hide, to how they are cowards who nearly committed a homicide, for I am my mother's daughter. Philip could hardly look my mom in the eyes and instead hid behind his mom, flinching if she even made a sudden movement. They told us that they were going to lay a charge of assault, demanded a public apology from us, and force us to leave town. My mom told them they were incredibly delusional. She laid down the facts as follows. My sister had medical records that proved that Philip assaulted her, nearly killing her. Many people were witnesses to his mistreatment of Penelope, and would testify. My mom was a highly respected member of the community, so they should not underestimate her power. And finally, they were going to do as follows. Philip was going to stay away from Penelope. He was going to pay child maintenance, and give up the house for Penelope. They were free to fight us if they wanted, but people liked us, while everyone in the community hated them. Even their brightest lawyers started fumbling for words after that. While they were still figuring out what to say, my mom told them to get out of her house because they were trespassing. They were so scared that they pretty much ran out of the house, and within 2 minutes we heard the car starting. Later on, we got a very generous check with the promise of more. When we told the rest of the family, they were laughing at my mom's antics. Even I was shocked at how much strength she had in her little body, and that she used to be an MMA fighter. She said that she used to be so much more muscular than she is now, and even showed us the hidden pictures from back then, but I am still in disbelief. My dad, on the other hand, knew everything and laughed every time anyone mentioned it. But, onto more serious things. My sister is in the process of divorcing him and she is staying with our parents. I also sleep over several times a week to offer support. She is healing very well and is going to start working in a bit. We have also enrolled in family therapy since it was a very traumatic experience for all of us, especially Frankie, who had to experience all of that. Ever since what happened with my mom, which everyone knows about, there has been more peace in the town. No one fears or respects Philip's family anymore. They are the butt of every joke, and I feel that they deserve that. It is like my mom fixed the town in less than a few hours. Now, here is the end of our first story, and I hope you guys are enjoying my content. So before moving to the final story, you can share your thought about Philip and his family, or the revenge OP's mother took on them in the comments section. Also, hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel to stay tuned with us for more revenge stories.
Now, moving on to our final story. In order to set up the scenario, I have to state that my father had passed away only a couple of months before this, so I was still in quite a dark place and not thinking quite as normal as I otherwise would have been. Still, I don't think I went out of character much, as the only thing I would say is out of character was the bit about the following still to come. So to set the stage, it was a weekday commute to work, which disregarding traffic was about a 20 to 25 minute drive. But during rush hour turned into about a 30 to 45 minute drive. So I am leaving home at about 8:45 to be at work at 9:30. I work the later shift for my team as the team leads. On my route, there is an intersection where I turn from the main road onto a side road that has 2 one-ways into a 2-way sort of deal. The issue though is that one side of the road also has an exit from a convenience store which is right on the one-way side, meaning traffic coming out of the convenience store can only turn right legally. However, on this particular day, a red pickup truck decided that it was going to turn left out of that entrance and go the opposite way in the one-way intersection. As I was in the middle of my turn when this occurred, I did not have time to stop or avoid the truck. Impact was had on my front right fender, which I could both feel and hear, because I was going about 15 to 20 miles per hour during the turn, so not enough to do major damage, but definitely enough to know someone hit you. So I begin to pull off into the convenience store when I see the red pickup speed away down the road that I had just come from towards my house. I pull a safe U-turn and provide chase for 2 reasons. Reason 1 is that I needed a license plate number to give my insurance company for the faulty party. And reason 2 is that I wanted this driver to stop and do the right thing instead of performing a hit and run. So I follow the red truck down this road towards my house for about a mile or so. I've already got the license plate number at this point and am just following while honking and flashing my lights, trying to get the driver to pull over. As she's making a turn onto a different side street, she rolls down the window and yells to me to tell someone who cares. I'm not sure if she didn't think I could read her license plate or if she thought I was too stupid to know how to handle the situation. But okay, miss, I will. I call the local sheriff's department and provide my location so that I can get an accident report filed. We met at the convenience store parking lot and I walked the sheriff through the series of events that led to the incident, showing him my fender and providing him with the license plate. He pulled it up and it matched the description of the vehicle perfectly. I described the driver and what was said and received my accident report. At this point, I head off to work as my car is only cosmetically damaged and there's little more I can do to assist the officer. A few hours later, I get a call on my cell phone from the insurance company covering the other driver. I am told that they are filing a claim against my insurance for damages to her rear bumper, which is the part my fender hit. I take down the pertinent information and go back to work. A few minutes later, I get a call from the sheriff. He tells me that he was able to visit the home of the driver and get their description of events. She claimed that I was going far too fast and hit her vehicle while turning into the convenience station instead of the one-way intersection just outside of it, and that my following her was both intimidating and made her fearful of me, which is why she didn't stop. That doesn't explain why she didn't stop immediately, but okay. The officer, however, was more sympathetic to my side of the story, because he claimed in all his years of service usually the person who calls first is the person who's telling the truth. So he says he is going to see if the convenience store has any security recordings from that morning that would be covering that area. Meanwhile, I call my insurance company to explain what had happened and provide the police report number. They state that they will conduct their investigation as well and let me know what they find out. After about a week or so, I get a call from the sheriff. He tells me that the convenience store did have footage from a camera that was facing the correct location to catch the incident, and that it demonstrated that the driver pulled out from the convenience store the wrong way, and that I attempted to avoid but there was not enough room to do so. I asked if he could forward this to either me or my insurance company. He could not, but the insurance company could petition the convenience store on its behalf, so they did. It took about 2 months for it all to be sorted out by the sheriff's office and both insurance companies, but in the end, she was held 100% liable for all damages to both vehicles, which to my surprise included not only my fender but also my front bumper, hood and driver's side mirror. I'm not convinced all of these parts were damaged in the accident, but they needed attention and at least paint repair, and after the way this driver handled the whole ordeal, I wasn't going to correct them. I saw the invoice as it is provided to me, my insurance, the other driver, and the other driver's insurance. She had to pay over $4,500 or her insurance did anyway. I have no idea what her deductible was for these repairs. Further, she was cited for both reckless driving and reckless endangerment by the sheriff. Perhaps next time she'll follow the laws and drive safer. Barring that, maybe she'll stop if she causes an accident. Because if she had stopped and handled it like an adult, she likely would have only been responsible for the damage to the fender and would not have had police charges filed against her. Have to love it when someone tells you to tell someone who cares and then gets everything that's coming to them when you do. Now, here is the end of our today's video, and I hope you enjoyed this petty revenge OP took on this woman. Guys, I want to hear your thought about this story in the comments section, and if you had similar stories, please share it. I would love to read them. And before you leave, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to remain updated on more fantastic stories.